What an incredible afternoon. It's just mild. The temperature is perfect. Humidity is low. Just a cool breeze. It is wonderful in central Indiana. Hopefully your day is going well. Hopefully you're able to appreciate the goodness of God today. Hopefully you can say a thank you prayer for just the simple things. I had a friend thanking God for the beauty of his azaleas this morning. Thanking God for the quietness of my day today, and just subtle things that make life good. And that's the goodness of God in our lives. I was thinking about the idea of confidence and anxiety. They are what I think are opposites. If you think about anxiety and what's the opposite of it, it wouldn't be non-anxiety. I think it'd be confidence. And the picture that came to mind was my baseball days back in the olden days. And I wasn't horrible, wasn't great, but I could hit a fastball. And we had this game, I was probably 16, and the pitcher just had this look on his face that traumatized most of the other 15 and 16-year-olds. He had a fastball that if it hit you, it'd leave a mark. He had the glare that would intimidate you when you stepped in the batter's box. And it was quite an anxious thing if you let it be. And I can recall my teammates in the dugout just somewhat whining about his fastball and how intimidating it is and how nobody's going to hit the ball. And that is almost self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like if you don't think something's going to happen because you're anxious about it, it probably is not going to happen. And I didn't like the fastballs that were coming in, but at the same time, I didn't want to yield to that anxiety that the other guys were. So I had to step into the batter's box with confidence. And with most sports, there's this visualization you have to do. You have to visualize what you want happening. If you're shooting a basketball, you have to see the ball going through the net. If you're hitting a baseball, you have to see the ball flying off the bat. And so I can remember as that pitcher stood on the mound and glared at me and went into his motion and threw that first fastball, I was like, man, I can see why those guys were anxious. But at the same time, I didn't want failure and defeat on my shoulders either. And so I remember just stepping in and getting my back foot planted and getting loosened up and ready to hit that ball. And he went into his motion and threw just a blistering fastball down the middle. And I got around on it and just jacked the snot out of that thing. I hit it so far that their outfielders were running forever. And unfortunately, I wasn't fast enough to round the bases for a home run. Had to stop huffing and puffing at third base. But it was a difference between letting anxiety control me or having the confidence that I was a baseball player and could hit that ball, even if it was coming at a very rapid speed. Well, in the book of Philippians, Paul addresses both of those issues. He says, be anxious for nothing. Now, I know that anxiety and panic and things like that are prevalent in our culture today. But I wonder if that wasn't so in a more devastating time in biblical days where malnutrition, famine, and all kinds of disease were prominent. If it wasn't an anxious time, and yet Paul said, be anxious for nothing. I think he's suggesting that there is a non-medical solution for anxiety. I think he's suggesting that we can live in confidence, we can live in hope. He said, be anxious for nothing, but in all things, with prayer and supplication, let your requests be made known to God. And then the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. God will give peace to you in the midst of your anxiety. God will come across as the deliverer for you wherever you are. The beginning of that book in Philippians, Paul says, I am confident of this very thing, He who began a good work in you will perfect it until the day of Christ Jesus. So that anxiety and that stress that may be crossing your path, hold it up before the Messiah. Let him know what's going on there. Not that he doesn't already know, but just bare your soul to him, and then you can be confident that he will deliver you from whatever it is that's coming your way, whether it's a fastball that's scaring you to death or whether it's the trials and tribulations of today. He's able to do exceedingly abundantly beyond all that you can think or imagine, and he wants to be your source of peace. Have a great day, and I'm thankful.